Welcome to First Dates and Soulmates, the podcast where romance is not the only bright thing in the room, it's also our spirits and the spirits that are being served on the rocks with salt on the rim because holy motherfucking shitballs, it's the holidays. Woo-hoo! I am your host, Nikki McKnight.
And I'm Meg Casebolt.
And Meg is here in her author persona once again. Bailey Seaborn is here on the pod to talk about her holiday novella. Is it a novella officially?
By my standards, it's a novella.
Yeah, because you right, girl. You're a big word
I'm
person.
like, oh, this will totally be 25,000 words. It's 50, but it's not 100. So 100, I think that counts for you. If it's under 200
it's almost
words,
like
or 200 pages.
A Crunch Wrap Supreme version of, it's not just like a little wrap. It's there. Okay, so we are talking Making Spirits Bright. And this is book 2.5.
I would call it 2.5.
I think that's what it says on the cover was 2.5 because the timing is all interesting. Quick content warning, quick advisory. We're going to be talking about the plot. There are going to be spoilers not only for Making Spirits Bright, but for Peppermint Bark, for Twerk, and a little preview perhaps of what's coming up in Playwright. So if you have not read it, Meg, what should people do? Where should they go?
If you are on Kindle Unlimited, you can go grab it already. If you are listening to this on the day this comes out, like hold off just a little bit because I'm about to put it on sale for 99 cents from December 11th to 13th because I want to get as many downloads in a very short amount of time as I can. So if you're listening to this on the 10th, wait till tomorrow. But if you're listening to this right after we put it out, go grab your copy for 99 cents just for until Saturday. So definitely go grab your copy or just grab it on Kindle Unlimited and read it that way, or read it on Kindle Unlimited and then go buy your copy, and that way I get the Kindle Unlimited pages and I get the payments.
Go double dip.
But I mean, literally, when I sell a book for 99 cents, I make 26 cents on it, so it's not like big money.
Big money. Awesome. So before we dive deep into the plot details of this holiday story, how did this book come to be? Why these people? Because this is Connor, who's Victoria and Alex's assistant, now Victoria's right-hand dude, and now more to Victoria and to everybody. And Connor, and then it's Hannah, the bartender. Why these two? Why were you like, y'all, these need a story? And two, it needs to be a Christmas story.
So these two started because Connor really earned his keep. You know, like Connor was never, I said when I wrote Victoria's book, like Victoria wasn't supposed to get a book, but then she just like appeared on the page and was like, you will write my book now. But Connor did not push. He did not shove. He waited patiently. He had a list. He had a list.
He had a check-in list. I'm gonna check in with Bailey. Is it my turn for a book? No? Okay, I'm gonna circle back.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah, no, he doesn't want a book. He doesn't want a book. He is not interested in having a book. He is like, he would have just hung out below the surface and kept being the right-hand man and just been there consistently, effortlessly focused forever. He would have been happy. He would have been fine. But then he kept showing up through these books because I just needed a character to show up. So, you know, when Alex gets the phone call in Peppermint Bark, Alex hangs up on Grace.
Oh, this is when his dad
rolls him to voicemail. This is chapter 2 of Peppermint Bark, and Alex rolls Grace to voicemail, and Connor's the one who's like, "Oh, this is serious. You need to pay attention." Right? Like Connor's there from the beginning. At the end of that book, when Alex gets back, Connor's the one that picks him up from the airport, takes him home, takes care of him, you know, and then in Victoria's book, he shows up, he has her do tequila shots, he makes sure that she gets fed, that she doesn't, you know, he's just like such a nurturing character. And then at the end of that book, huge spoilers, we see him like really push Victoria to take better care of herself, to get into therapy. He's the one who's like, you need to go do something for Cruz. You're miserable without him. How do we get you back to Saratoga? How do we get him back into your life? You're miserable. Let's fix it. And Connor's a fixer. Connor creates the list. And she says, Connor, like, how do we make this work? And the next day there's a piano at the bar. And we know Victoria is not the one who called in the piano. Connor did all of that. Or the piano
tuner, yes.
Yeah,
he had also on his list.
He had the whole list. And so as I was writing All Twerk No Play, I started to love Connor. I started to see the ways that both of these two characters were relying on him, and he dropped everything for them. And who doesn't love a character who is quiet and responsible and will do any fucking thing in the world for the people that he loves, even to his own detriment? Like, how interesting is that? And then at the end of All Twerk No Play, he just literally moved. He said, I will go with you. And he packed a suitcase, and he was there the next day at the press conference. And I thought, well, that's weird. And then I wrote in the big serenade scene, and here's Victoria talking to Cruz, and Connor's there too. And I'm like, oh, Connor was just in New York City for a month, and then he came back. Where's he staying? Does he still have an apartment here? He just moved here in February. He probably signed a year lease. Who's he live with? What's his deal? What's the story? And that was sort of where it came from, is Connor's willing to give up everything for everyone else. What does it look like when Connor's plans get derailed? And so I sent him back to Saratoga in All Twerk No Play. And then I'm like, okay, if he goes back to his apartment, what if it's not the way that he expects it to be? What if it's not what he left it as? And that's where I had this idea of him and the bartender, somebody that he knows but doesn't know well. And then I'm like, okay, well, who is this person? Why is this person in his bed? Why does he wake up with another person in his bed? Like, that's such, like...
And it's not like a drunken... Because... The book opens with Connor. Well, we have like the reunion scene from the end of Twerk with like the piano and then the thing. But what I really liked was with Connor kind of waking up and going, oh, there's someone next to me in bed. And I initially read it as, oh, he got drunk and he took someone home and doesn't remember it. And that's not at all what it was.
No, he's sober. He's sober. He went home
they
alone.
They both are.
Yeah.
Hannah was too. She was just
Hannah
exhausted.
Was sober. Yeah.
So I kind of like that you took that in what I thought was like, oh, they had a drunken hookup at the bar. And now that's the awkward morning after. And they're going to be like, I've seen you naked, but I don't really remember it. And that's not at all what it was. It was like literally like, oh no, I've been crashing here with my sister. Because you weren't here. You were back in the big city. Oops, my bad that I'm in your bed. And he's like, yeah, this is weird. Okay, like, I guess you can chill here. On to the next thing. And I laughed a lot when I realized what was happening.
Yeah, that it wasn't a drunk hookup. They didn't know each other was there. She just so, you know, he goes home alone. He's sober, sober-ish, right? He's had 2 drinks that we know of.
He's not completely blitzed that he's blacked out and been like, a stranger in my bed. What is happening?
But he goes home for the first time in a month. He has a suitcase. He leaves it on the couch, and he goes to bed, in his bed, asleep, alone. And then he wakes up, and there's someone in the bed with him, with her hand on his throat, like holding on to him, right? She's dressed. He doesn't know who she is. They're both dressed. They're both in pajamas. And then... she's like, oh, I just got home from working a double and there was something on the couch I've been sleeping on. And so I knew that this room was empty. It's been empty for a month. I had no reason to believe it wouldn't be empty. And it was like his stuff on the couch she's been sleeping on. So it's this like, both of them are confused. Neither of them intentionally is sleeping in the same bed together. But he's like, well, I got to go. So just keep sleeping in my bed. Like, because he's such a caretaker. He would never be like, well, why sleep on the couch while I'm not here, you know? Like, he sees her. He likes her. He thinks she's cute. They had a good time at the bar. So, like, he wants to take care of her even then. He's already in that caretaker mode, already in that fixer mode. So, yeah, it's like the meet cute. The thought of Connor waking up with somebody that he didn't know was just too juicy for me not to explore.
What I really liked about the timing of this was literally where it took place in this universe. It starts with the end of Twerk. Victoria is nervous because she's doing this big grand gesture on the piano for Cruz, and people are like, Connor's trying to calm her down because she's about to lose her shit, and Hannah's kind of observing this going, that's Victoria Blackstone. She's the most powerful woman in business. She is so cool. I admire her very much because it turns out Hannah's from New York and also had a very high-powered career, which I definitely want to come back to. But she's like, this is really interesting. And then, oh, look, here walks in Cruz. Oh, that big, burly Jason Momoa, godlike person of a man. And she's like, oh, this is really interesting. Look at her being vulnerable. Like, that was just so interesting to me. Yeah. And then Connor has also been promoted to COO of the Sinclair Group when Victoria went back to New York to take things over. And what I really loved about his position in this, and I love... Again, we find out more about his backstory, especially with his mom and how he handles things and why he is the way that he is. But I just kept reading this part of him like, oh my God, he's so busy.
Yeah.
He's so busy. I feel so bad for Connor. Can Connor take a nap? Because, like, I'm sorry, I've worked as a COO before of like a $20 million company. And the Sinclair Group is much bigger than that. Yeah. And I'm just like, how tired is this man? Mm-hmm. But he's still like acting as a personal assistant and to handle all of these things. I was just like, sweet baby Connor, somebody give him a hug and like rub his back and bring him his coffee with his weird holiday creamer in it. Because like, oh, sweet baby angel. So like, I loved where the timing was because it was such a huge transition for Connor.
Yeah.
You know, Alex is going to be staying in Saratoga with the law firm. Victoria was going to, but no, I'm sorry, I'm taking over things from my father. I'm actually going to be in Manhattan and I'm now a billionaire. And Connor's going with me, but also dealing with like Alex and, you know, when near the end with his honeymoon and trying to deal with that. And also I have to pack up my shit. I'm sorry. Why would he not hire people to pack his shit?
He did last time. Right?
He's got so much fucking money and resources available to him. But I understand because I'm working on this in therapy. I am Connor. This thing of like, you're always in fix-it mode and you can just do things and you don't stop to think, I have resources.
Yeah. Yeah.
I could literally do this shit. So like, I loved where he started in this because you're like, oh, he's so competent.
Yeah.
He's so like in control. He's so on top of things. He's got things measured. And then you realize how that's actually a very bad thing. It's not a healthy thing for him.
He has compartmentalized.
Yes.
He is putting everyone's needs ahead of himself. He is like, at one point, Hannah sees his to-do list and she's on there 4 times and he's on there 0 times. And she's like, oh shit, like we've got to fix this. And so he's starting to learn throughout this, like, oh, I need to take care of myself better. Mm-hmm. I had an alternative title for it for a while, which was Treat Yo Elf. I might use it somewhere else, like that elf care feeling to it. But I didn't want to put them in elf costumes, so I ended up moving away. Because I feel like imagine Connor in an elf costume.
Absolutely not.
I did have like reindeer antlers at one point, but that was the closest.
I feel like he could maybe do antlers only in the hospital.
Yeah,
but not outside of it. Okay.
Yeah, no, he is not a person. And that was why I wanted it, is like kind of the stuffy operations guy.
Again, I am Connor.
No, you would wear the full elf costume. It would be bright pink. I would. It would be sparkly.
I would wear this. Okay, so now I want to talk about Hannah. Why Hannah? Because there are so many folks in Saratoga that are in Manhattan that you could have pulled from. It could have been someone new. And I know Hannah's not necessarily like a main character, but she's been a background presence. Like she showed
up at the very end of Twerk while I was just setting her up. She hasn't really been around, so she's fairly new to the series. Because I had her not there. She didn't move there until after Connor left. And that just felt like the right move. Like, we don't always have to be in series, even if you have this big thing. And I didn't really have a lot of people that would be a good fit for Connor otherwise. I didn't want Connor with any of Grace's coworkers. I didn't want him with Elijah. And I didn't really have anyone else that hadn't already been sort of paired off in my mind. So I was like, okay, well, we need to establish someone new. And who would Connor... I thought about Cruz's bandmates. I thought about a lot of people, but no one was quite right for him. And I, at one point, was going to have Connor move back to Saratoga at the end, which felt like very like small town Christmas novella of like, oh, the experience that you love, you know, the people that you love are home all along. And like, this is where he feels at home and comfortable. But
because that's what we thought you were going to do with Victoria before Victoria's like, actually, no, like Manhattan.
I have to. Victoria had to be in Manhattan. And Connor would not leave Victoria. It would be a complete character, like he wouldn't do it. And I thought that maybe that would be part of the arc, is if Connor moves back to Saratoga because he found his family there, maybe he would. Maybe that would be the change that he has to go through, is he felt like he was in a better place, you know, in terms of his own mental health in a smaller town than in the big city. And so I really debated that a lot, is like, do I want Connor to be there? Where do I want this to end? And so that drove Hannah a lot, because an early draft of it, Hannah wanted to, she wasn't corporate. She was an event planner. She was a bartender who was thinking about being an event planner, and she was going to take over running Donnelly's, and Connor was going to be there, and he was going to move home, and he was going to go back to working for Alex, and he was going to maybe start his own consulting firm, and he was going to do all these things. And I just couldn't write it.
No. And I love that you did. So when we meet Hannah, she's bartending at her uncle's bar in Saratoga, and we eventually find out that she was a big corporate accountant. She was very high-powered Manhattan. She knows Victoria's name. Like, she knows her reputation. Like, oh my God, Victoria Blackstone, she's the most powerful woman in the world. But she was a whistleblower at her firm, and her boyfriend / co-worker kind of ignored her. Then she went to management, and they ignored her. So eventually she went to the SEC and, like, reported this shit. And then she got blackballed from the industry and couldn't get another financial job in Manhattan. So to go back to Saratoga to her uncle's bar was kind of the only thing she could do at the time. She had to escape, like, the bad feelings and then not getting a job. And of course her parents are assholes and we're like, oh, what are you doing? And her parents don't really think she did a good thing by reporting her employers and firm to the SEC. And when that is revealed about Hannah, I literally kind of stopped reading and I went, oh my God, that's so fucking smart. Because this is really popular on, like, TikTok and Tumblr. And it has been. It's just very much in my feed right now of Hallmark movies from the other character's point of view. It's like, here's a TikTok, and I think I've sent you and Drea a couple of these. Like, here's the fiance from the big city that was dumped by his fiance when she went back home to small town, and it's this guy driving back in this car going, yeah, I don't know, man, it's a really small town, and she's like hooked up with this farmer. Or, you know, it's there's a joke about how Mrs. Claus was actually a high-powered marketing executive from the big city who went to meet this small town toy maker, and now she's been stuck as Mrs. Claus for 900 years. And that's what this really felt like to me. I was like, oh, to your point about not wanting to write Connor staying in small town, it was like, no, Hannah is also big city. Like, their version of small town, or their version of, like, that holiday Christmas, is they're both fucking going back to Manhattan. Yeah. And I just really loved it.
And I think, like, Connor could have been happy small town. Connor is happy when his people are happy. Connor doesn't care where he lives. Connor is there for the people, but he also wanted that job. He wanted to be COO. He wanted to be supportive and helpful. He wanted to help grow the business and have it run naturally. When he sees how Alex's business has fallen apart since he left, he feels real guilty about it. You know, he wants to keep things running smoothly. That's what Connor cares about. Connor could have landed anywhere. Connor could have been in New York City. Connor could have stayed in San Francisco. Connor would have been fine. But it was the choice of what does Hannah do that drove the resolution of it, which is, Hannah could have been happy as a bartender too, but I don't think she was. I don't think she was ever happy.
I don't think she was either. And I liked how Hannah really had to deal with her parents and her ex, because it turns out her ex knows Alex.
Because how else can you bump into your ex at an engagement party unless...
Yeah, and so, you know, Sebastian, Hannah's ex, who kind of dumped her through all of this, and he's an asshole. We don't like him. The worst. He is not a good person. Of course, his name is Sebastian. I kept picturing Sebastian Valmont, Ryan Phillippe's character in Cruel Intentions, was kind of like, I don't know, as soon as I hear Sebastian, I'm just automatically picturing, oh, it's Ryan Philippe in Cruel Intentions.
Yeah, like, but I feel like it's also a hero name, and I'm always surprised when I see it, because I don't think of it as being like a sexy name.
No, like, it was really just fun to have, like, you know, the character, all the characters coming back, I also thought was really fun, because obviously we have Alex and Grace's wedding, but Alex and Grace have their wedding, and they have it because Kate has called off her wedding. Yes. And she's like, pretty much goes to Alex and Grace and be like, wedding? It's plug and play.
It is a plug and play wedding.
And then Kate shows up all black, and people are like, oh my God, she gave up her wedding. Can you imagine that she did this? And I was like, so I'm just like, oh my, because I know Nick and Kate's book is the next full length.
It'll be coming in March.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, what happened? How did we get here? I knew it was coming because Nick, but also like, girl, like, where is this one?
And that's also what I wanted people to feel. Like, I wanted them to feel, because this is book 2.5, and you asked, like, why a Christmas novella, right? Because this is book 2.5, I wanted it to feel like a bridge of, like, here is Connor's relationship to these two important characters from book 1 and 2, but I also wanted people to read this and go, oh, how the fuck did that happen? Right? Because for the first 2 books, Kate's engaged. Kate's engaged.
We all knew it wasn't gonna last.
We all knew it wasn't
gonna
happen.
Nick.
We knew she was miserable, but like
Yeah.
people they say yes. They get engaged. They move towards that future with somebody, and then sometimes they get married to somebody who maybe isn't the right fit for them, but it's the right choice for where they are in their life, or they make these decisions about it or whatever, right? Like, it happens. And so in the course of Kate's book, the first 10 chapters of Kate's book is Kate extricating herself from her engagement. And it was such a weird thing. I keep writing myself into these corners that I have to write myself out of. So it's like Victoria moves to Saratoga, and I'm like, wait, but no, what? Why did I do that to myself? Why did I move her to her ex-boyfriend's hometown?
Because they're gonna move her back now.
Oh no, I gotta make her happy somehow. And like when I was writing Victoria's book, I kept being like, she's over Alex, and my editor was like, no, she's not. She can't be over Alex yet. Right? We have to have a moment of the break. They were together too long. She moved here to be with him. Like, we can't have her over him yet. I had to like write myself out of the corner that I wrote myself into, which I think as a writer is a fascinating premise to get yourself into. And also as a reader, it's like, yeah, there are tropes in this book, but here's the reality. You know, the reality is that people who have fallen in love before don't just sit around and wait for their previous ex to come back and swoop back into their life. They move on. Kate moved on. And then Kate had to figure out how to get herself out of the situation that she got herself into. And then Kate had to figure out her priorities again. And writing that was such an interesting space to be in. But that book starts at the engagement party. And so I wanted to take a minute to like step back from a neutral perspective and look at these 3 key events that are happening in very close proximity and going, what would somebody who isn't directly involved in these see, to sort of set up that book, to make people like chomping at the bit of like, what is Kate doing? What is happening with her? So I have Connor sort of in that final scene of All Twerk, No Play. And then we get the engagement party, which is where something happens. And then we get the wedding, where it was Kate's wedding and it's not Kate's wedding anymore. But at the engagement party, we don't know when the wedding's going to be. So it's like all of these things that I knew happened because I wrote book 2 and I wrote book 3. And then I was like, oh, wouldn't it be interesting to just layer a book on top of this during this time of tension where we don't get all the answers?
Are you familiar with Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead?
Not very familiar.
Tom Hopper play?
Which is surprising, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like, you, the literary queen? So it's a play by Tom Hooper.
It's the 2 characters from Hamlet, though. Like, the
but the, you know, and there's a movie version of it, but the movie, it doesn't work if it's a movie, because the whole idea is that when Rosencrantz and Guildenstern aren't on stage, they are nowhere. Like, they're in a liminal space, and I love it. And if you don't get the main point of the play, then the movie is fun, because it's Tim Roth and Gary Oldman are Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead.
Amazing.
So that's really, I love them. It does not make sense as a film, because then in the film they're just in another part of the castle, but the whole point is that they are nowhere when they are not interacting with one of the characters. But what is funny about the movie, and the reason I bring this up, is that they'll be like walking and doing their like rat-a-tat dialogue, and then you just see Hamlet and Ophelia in the background, like causing drama. Or, you know, Claudius is murdered off stage or out of frame, and then they discuss it. So this had a very like Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead essence of it to me, because it's not necessarily liminal spaces, but it is in a different room, and you see in the background Kate and Nick getting up to shit, right? It's kind of like that feeling of transitory spaces, or pay no attention to the characters behind the curtain. They're coming in book 3, but you still get to see, as doors open and close, all of a sudden the setting and the situations have changed, but you just don't get to see that right now, which I really enjoyed, of just like, okay, this was supposed to be Kate's wedding, so clearly some shit has gone down.
Can you imagine needing to attend your own wedding? that you aren't, like, you called off the wedding, but you still have to go and be in it.
It really reminds me of like those, I'm thinking of one woman in particular. It was on TikTok a couple years ago, and it was this idea that literally her fiance dumped her at the altar right before the wedding. Oof. And was kind of like, I don't want to get married. So she was devastated, but she's like, all these people are here. So she kind of came out and was like, there's not gonna be a wedding. We're gonna have a fucking party. Everything is paid for, everything is made. So please stay and have fun. And of course, like all the speeches that were supposed to be made by parents, by those people, like really quickly, they just kind of turned it around and were like, this is why you're awesome. And she's like, I don't want to talk about him. I don't want to talk about my future. I'm going to cry later about it. But I literally just want to have a fucking great time right now with my friends.
I love it.
Because if this is going to happen, I am literally surrounded by the people who love me the most. And it was a very emotional kind of story and, you know, all of the shitty things that come with it, but it's also kind of nice. So I imagine in some way it would be similar for Kate, even though we don't know her story yet of how this came to be, even though we all knew it was coming. But this idea of everybody's here, Alex and Grace are busy and I love them. Who better to just say, hey, do you want my wedding?
Yeah. And one of the things, and I'll spoil this very tiny way, like Kate can't afford to not get married. Right? Like Kate is financially dependent on Paul. Mm-hmm. Kate lives in Paul's house. She rented out her house. Things aren't going great at her gallery. And all of these contracts, all of these wedding contracts are non-refundable. Mm-hmm. So she's out, and her mother-in-law just keeps adding new people to the list and keeps upgrading the flowers and keeps doing all these things. And so if she calls off this wedding, she's out $25,000 that she doesn't have, and her business is failing and she doesn't know where she's going to make this money up. And so this, like, hey, Grace, you're engaged. Alex is impatient. Do you want the wedding?
Wedding?
It's a lifeline.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lifeline that gives her a chance to be single again, and to explore what that looks like, and to cancel her Airbnbs and figure out how she's going to get her gallery back on track and like focus on what's important to her and not what's important to her former partner. Like, and so we're seeing all of that sort of happen in the background. We don't know that in Connor's book. We don't know that in Making Spirits Bright. We just know something happened.
Yeah.
And that's really fun to write and really fun to read. And hopefully people will be like, oh, what happened? And then the excerpt that's in the back of the book. You didn't get this because you got an earlier arc.
No, I was going to say, I didn't get this. And I was about to say, you know what have made a really good bonus epilogue to this?
It's there. It's the first 3 chapters of Kate's book, plus the full maid of honor and best man speeches from the wedding. So it's I have it positioned. I should probably figure out a way to do this better. I have it positioned as this is the bonus epilogue of Peppermint Bark. And then you can get that plus the first 3 chapters of Playwright.
Oh. What's the full title for Nick and Kate's book?
2 Wrongs Don't Make a Playwright.
Okay, I like it. I knew
There's
there was
a second chance romance and he's a writer.
I knew there was going to be something coming. I love it. Okay, so
I will still do like a title reveal on Instagram, but listeners, you heard it here first.
Soulmates get a little sneak peek. You're welcome. And I know at the time of this recording, you just released the cover options.
For Making Spirits Bright.
For Making Spirits Bright, yeah.
For Making Spirits Bright. I'm still so I hired the same cover designer for Playwright that I had for Peppermint Bark and for Twerk. Sam Palencia. She's incredible. But I also made a decision to release Making Spirits Bright at a faster turnaround and a lower price point because it's a novella. And so I went with
or your version thereof.
Yeah, right. Still a full-length novel for most humans. But I went with 100 covers for them, and so they are in the process of doing those updates. But I didn't want to just like wait to release the book until the cover was done. So these are some of the drafts that I'm like, which do you like? So by the time this goes live, the final one will be up. But you can go back on my Instagram stories and sort of see the progression of the dark brown cover, the creamier cover, the Edison bulbs, the lights, you know?
I love it. Okay.
It's really fun. Cover design's really fun.
I also really enjoy it. One of my clients, when she had her book published with Penguin Random House a couple years ago, like we got to see like the mood boards and the evolution and the real bad first drafts. And then I have another client who's publishing with Hay House, and they're still working on the title. And it's always like, obviously this is trad pub, not self pub. And it's really interesting I think in general, how you can have really quick gut reactions. Because some of like with my previous class, some of the covers, we were just like, oh my God, that's the most hideous thing I've ever seen. Even as you heard like the reason why they did it, we're like, no, we totally get it. On paper, it makes sense.
Yeah.
This is ugly as fuck. Or even like they're going back and forth with book titles and subtitles right now with another client. And I love the version that my client had that she pitched it under, that she's writing it under. And some of the ones that have been sent back or suggested, I'm like, those are trash.
Yeah.
Like absolute trash.
Yeah.
So it's really like, I know it's so, oh my God, what's the word? Subjective. What is good? What is bad? But y'all, I got strong opinions on things.
Well, I think also, like, you know the client, you know the
Yeah.
client, you know the goals, you know what the book is trying to achieve, and sometimes the cover designers don't have the full like brand information about what the reason is and what everything is that has come before it. And I think that's one of the reasons that I'm making these decisions about Making Spirits Bright cover is like the original one that came back was beautiful, but it was dark, and the previous books have been creamier,
lighter,
and brighter, and lighter. So that was some of my feedback for that. And I like to show that, to be like, this is a great cover, and it's just not quite right for the overarching Bailey Seaborn brand. And I'm loving what Sam's doing with the previews for Two Wrongs Don't Make a Playwright. So I'll share those with you behind the scenes.
Ooh, sneak peek. Okay. We were talking earlier about tropes, and, you know, we're talking a lot this month about, you know, small town and holiday, and because there's so many tropes that exist. You know, when we think holiday romance, I think most of us think Hallmark movies, like they're very formulaic in that way, and I love them. I'm not here to judge. I fucking watch the shit out of Hallmark, Netflix, all of these things. It's my jam. My friend Jen is coming back from Europe in a week or so at the time of this recording. She'll be with me for like 2 weeks at the beginning of December. And she's already messaged me saying, I can't wait to watch all the shitty holiday Netflix movies with you. And I'm like, I know, it's exciting. But one of the tropes we see a lot of in holiday romances, I think specifically, is this idea of caretaking. There's always a character, usually it's a woman who's a single mom, she's a widower, she's a whatever, and she's taking care of everybody and not taking care of herself. And as the story progresses, like Victoria did this in her book as well, it's like, how do they do some elf care? To go back to your thing from earlier. But you're welcome. I'm the funniest person in my friend group. But they, you know, there's a person who's always like taking care of people, and it becomes really, I don't want to say toxic, because I do feel like that word is thrown around a lot, but they don't really think of themselves, and they think the only way that they can show value or be needed and wanted is to be there for other people. And I love that this was Connor. It was not Hannah. The fact that it was a man who was going through all this. And I found it really fun because he was this amazing assistant. And a lot of people look at assistants of any gender, be like, oh, you're just an assistant. I'm like, I'm sorry. I've worked as an assistant and I've had assistants. These people are fucking phenomenal at their work. It's the only reason a lot of people can do what they do. So not only that, but he's also becoming the COO of a multi-billion-dollar corporation. And he's still dealing with people and other shit, and he's trying to fix Alex's law firm because people don't follow his SOPs. So
I wanted to just like scream, justice for operations professionals!
Justice for Connor. Excuse me. But I do love that the caretaker in question, who was getting burnt out and only felt needed and worthy, was when he was helping other people, was like a huge focus. Because I do, Connor's the main character in this to me.
Yeah.
Like, it is
he's a protagonist,
POV,
I would
but
say.
like he's very, to me, he's very much the one kind of driving things forward. So when it came, you know, we know he's competent. We've seen this in other books, but how did you come to make the decision that, yes, Connor's an excellent assistant and yes, he helps everybody, and that is not necessarily a good thing for Connor, and he's going to have to face it now.
He's going to have to face it. So in every book, romance, thrillers, mysteries, whatever, like every good character, literary fiction, whatever, especially, has a flaw, has a character flaw that makes their life harder, that makes them behave the way that they do. They have a backstory that drives who they are and why they behave the way that they do. And any author that you talk to, you can be like, what's the flaw for this character? And like, you know, when you go to job interviews and they're like, what's your biggest flaw? And you're like,
I care too much.
I care too much.
Too hard. Yeah.
That is actually Connor's biggest flaw. Is if he is the consummate professional, and we've seen him put other people's needs before his own regularly throughout this series so far. So it felt really easy to say, okay, if that's Connor's biggest flaw, how does that throw a grenade into his relationship? What happens when you take somebody who is a caretaker and you put them with somebody who does not want to be managed? Who does not want to be taken care of, who wants to be independent, who's already had her life explode because somebody thought they knew what was best for her. Okay, now we have a conflict. Now we have something we have to work towards. It's a fast conflict. It's one chapter breakup. It's breakup for 20 minutes because I was like, it's a novella, Meg. You can't just linger here. No, just finish the book.
Like she runs out and then she stops outside a building and goes, I don't have a coat. I'm cold. But also like, no, and then he comes running
out with her jacket. Yeah. Right? There have been so many times previous to that in the book where she leaves and he lets her. And she's like, I wanted him to chase me. I wanted him to tell me that he cares, but he's respecting my boundaries, and I hate that he's respecting my boundaries.
I know. I love that she literally said that at some point. Yeah. He's giving me space just like I told him to. Fuck him. I was like, well, I get it, but also like, don't do this.
And I think also it works so well for Hannah because Hannah's backstory is that she told the truth and she got penalized for it. She told the truth when everyone told her not to be complacent, and then it exploded her life. So now if she goes to Connor and says, I want you to stay, I think I'm falling in love with you, it could blow up her life again. She has been conditioned that the truth hurts you and being vulnerable hurts you. And so she can say things like, I'm just going to move out. I'm just going to go. Right. She's so quick to leave because staying is hard and staying hurts. And he has this job in another place and she can't afford to live there. And so, yeah, all of these times where she sets boundaries and he respects her boundaries and she's like, oh, like even she breaks up with him and then he carries her coat outside because he's like, I know why you're breaking up with me. Totally get it. But I don't want to be the reason that you get frostbite.
You get frostbite. Yeah.
Which is like the perfect Connor moment.
Like,
of
stop
like,
fucking caring so much.
Can't just let me freeze. Would you just like stop?
I made the decision to freeze. Let me suffer. And it's interesting.
And then she turns to him and she goes, great, put your own coat on. I'm not putting my coat on until you put your coat on, right? Like she's teaching him to take care of himself and her and not just always put other people's needs first. So even in that 20-minute breakup, the 10-minute fight.
Lessons are being learned.
Right. That's what they have to learn. And that's what we sort of see by the time the epilogue comes along 6 months later is they're communicating better because the whole, and I don't want to say like it's a miscommunication trope because it's not. It's people guarding themselves. It's self-preservation, which is what humans do.
That's why I liked when Grace and Alex are doing the Santa Mrs. Claus thing in the pediatric sections of the hospital, and Connor's there to organize things, and he's got a lot of, I'm going to call it medical trauma from when his mom was sick and then she died, and he's scheduling everything. But I love that he's scheduling. We're in rooms 516 to 520. We're going to be 5 minutes each. This one, I'm going to take a photo in this one. You're going to go to this one. And I do like that you can kind of start to see him internalize what Hannah's been telling him, where the last thing on his checklist is take 5 minutes before you go to like your next appointment or whatever it was. But it was like take 5 minutes. So he goes to the sensory room and he's just like, oh, this is kind of nice. But he's still kind of in his head, I put this on my list because Hannah told me to, and I'm here to check it off. And he's like, I need to be able to report back to Hannah that I did this thing. Performative self-care. And then Alex comes in and was like, hey, like, how you doing? I know this is rough. You're taking time here. And then once they finish their conversation and he's got to go on to the next thing, he's actually like, oh, like my 5-minute timer actually already went off a couple minutes ago. Interesting. And he moves on. And I was like, are you like listening in on my therapy sessions with my therapist? Because again, I am Connor. But I do like that it started in small ways. Just like,
and what's interesting?
I don't quite believe it. I'm doing it because it'll make you happy. I'm still not really doing it for me. I'm doing it to make you happy. So it's kind of like it's performative self-care at the beginning, which I did like because like people like Connor don't change that fast.
Yeah, and what was interesting about Connor is I had him at the end of Victoria's book say to Victoria, do you look down on me because I've been to therapy, because I'd like you to go to therapy? Would you judge me for going? Would you judge me for being on anti-anxiety meds? And so I knew that about Connor, but I think also going to therapy and integrating those lessons into your life are very different things. So I think Connor is self-aware enough that he can talk about it. He can talk about, oh, here's the 5 stages of grief that he explains to Victoria at the end of the book. We know now why he has understanding of grief, but he doesn't process it. He has boxes of his mother's stuff in his closet that he just boxed it up and walked away. And that's how he does all of his feelings. He takes his feelings, he puts them in boxes, he shoves them in the closet, he doesn't examine them. And like, even there are moments early on where he's like, oh, hey, Hannah kind of reminds me of my mom. Cool. And then he just moves on. Like, there's awareness. He notices everything, but he never processes what that means for him or why he would have that behavior until I know.
It's so funny. Like, am I a character in a book right now?
No, I thought you were Chloe Brown, but you might be Connor McNamara.
I think I'm Connor McNamara, honestly. No, because it is this concept of like disassociation and intellectualizing and going on to the next thing and not actually feeling the feelings, which is why my therapist is teaching me some CBT techniques on how to feel my feelings, which is the stupidest fucking thing to say. And I love saying that to my therapist too. She goes, I know you think this is fucking dumb. I'm like, yeah, it's fucking stupid. You sound like a coach. And she's like, don't you ever say that to me. Because she hates coaches, which I love my therapist for. But I do like, because like, you're right. This is not something that through the power of love, Connor is going to be a fully balanced fucking human. It doesn't happen. And same thing with Hannah. So that's why I love in the epilogue when they're looking for a place to live together and they have a list that they made together. And I love on that list, they're talking like, oh, we want this type of space, whatever. And it's something like ensuite washer dryer, Connor's requirement.
Yeah.
Dishwasher, Hannah's requirement. Plus the stuff they've come up with together. And I love it because that's more accurate to me in terms of how these people are going to evolve. It's like they're still going to have very strong opinions, but they're still going to be fucking up. And I was like, yes, thank you. Get those reps in.
Yeah. And I think also like you see epilogues where everything's perfect. And then you get to that epilogue and he's like, and Hannah's like, we still need a dining table. He's like, should we go to IKEA? She's like, you cannot bring a checklist to IKEA. You know, like she knows him well enough.
But he's like, but what if it's just on my phone and I don't show it to you?
Which is like absolutely a Nikki McKnight thing. It's like, well, I have the checklist. I know exactly which
I've already looked up online what aisles they're in for when we go pick it up.
I have measured the space, so I know the dimensions. So
I brought my own measuring tape to IKEA because their wibbly wobbly thing that only goes to 36 inches is not helpful. It's fine. That's fine.
But yeah, I think this is the reality of loving somebody who isn't perfect and trying to find ways to help them be better for both of them. Both of them, you know. Yeah. Hannah's so quick to negate herself, but she has been negated. She has been shamed. She has been hurt in a lot of ways. Her confidence is completely shot by the time we meet her, and Connor helps build it up because he sees what she can't see, and he, you know, makes dinner for her parents because he wants her to feel valued. So, I mean, there's something to that Connor sees what no one else sees, that Hannah sees. Everyone else overlooks Connor. So in that scene where they're at the bar and everyone's watching the stage and Hannah's watching Connor, you know, they're both so perceptive and both so ready to throw things out when they get hard. They're both so much in self-preservation mode. Which, like, hi, there's humans.
I know. Oh my God, real life people having experiences, even they're not real people, but they're real people.
And I think that's the thing is like, and if good novels, romance or not, like have real people with real problems and real flaws. And if you get too heavy into the tropes and you just want to read, you know, the lumberjack and the tree farmer and you're like, great, like that scratches an itch, especially in a novella. But that was why I struggled with writing a novella. Part of it was I wanted to hit these 3 core time periods that lay over the entire transition from book 2 to book 3 and sort of bridge these 2 things. And in order to have 3 separate events plus growth, I couldn't do that in 20,000 words. If I had just written, you know, just them being roommates, I could have done it in 20,000 words, but I also wanted it to live within the universe. But also, like, I don't know how to write simple characters.
You do not. There's a lot going on under the hood.
Yeah, even when I was like, oh, Hannah wants to be an event planner, and so she's going to take over the bar, and Connor will help her with the operations of the bar. Like, that was a simpler plot line. And even then, it was really complicated.
It's not as fun as what you went with. I'm a fan.
It's not.
I'm a fan.
I know.
Okay, so with Making Spirits Bright, tell our soulmates, when's it coming out? Where can people buy it? How do they get this book if they're not special like me and already have an advance copy?
By the time this goes live, Making Spirits Bright will be out. So it comes out on December 5th. It'll be on Kindle Unlimited, and it'll be available for $2.99. But if you're listening to this on the 10th, do not buy it yet. Buy it tomorrow, because I'm going to run a 99-cent sale on the 11th, 12th, and 13th. So go grab your copy that is like downloadable. It's yours forever that way. You don't have to KU it, or you can KU it, or you know what? Read it on KU and then go buy it, and that way I get paid double. Okay.
Yeah. See, this is the strategy. This is the strategy.
And then if you want, the full 3 chapters of Nick and Kate's book, plus the full Best Man and Maid of Honor speeches, you can do that at BaileySeaborn.com.
Boo! I love it. Meg/Bailey, what did you ship the most about Making Spirits Bright?
Okay. I love that there's a secondary character who wouldn't be the one where you say, oh, that book's next. But we get to see his perspective. We get to see how he fits into the shared universe. And then we also get the experience of the shared universe. So we get to go back to Grace and Alex. We get to see Victorian Cruise. We get to see the ground being laid for the next book. And that's so satisfying for me, not just as a writer, but also as a reader, when I see those pipes being laid down, and I get to retroactively look back and go, oh, good. Oh, things are working with them. Like, they didn't have a perfect relationship either, but things are working with them. It's so satisfying to fit into the greater universe of who is this character in this space in this time period. So that's what I love best about Making Spirits Bright. What about you?
Mm-hmm. Connor.
Yeah.
Just everything he does. Like, I identified a lot with him, and I appreciated that he was squishy on the inside. Like, the scenes when he starts thinking about his mom who has passed, and he knows how to cook. Like, he wrote down recipes with her, so he would always have that. She made sure he learned how to do the lattice work on her pie. He knows how to make hors d'oeuvres, and he's getting things set up for his people. But when he starts to actually sit in his grief, and he tells Hannah and Teresa, is that her sister's name? It's a T. Teresa, like, yeah, my mom died. And like, he comes home and they've decorated the apartment like in full blown sparkle glitter fest Christmas, and he has a moment of like, oh, and they're like, oh, you hate it, thinking like, oh, he's an uptight corporate guy, he's not gonna like this vomitous explosion of tinsel. And he's like, no, like, my mom used to do this. She died 3 years ago. I haven't decorated since. I'm just a little overwhelmed right now. I was like, oh my God, he's a soft, squishy boy. I love it. And then he goes and gets their Christmas tree angel out of the box that he hasn't unpacked, and he puts it on top of the tree. And I'm just like sobbing. Like, oh my God.
And you know what? I sobbed when I wrote it. I sobbed every single time I revised it. I have probably cried over that chapter. I'm tearing up over that thought just now. Like, I've probably read that chapter 8 times and cried 10 times because like that feeling of returning to something that was meaningful to you that you haven't had the strength and ability to process. Oh God, it kills me.
I know. It's so meaningful. So I loved it so much. All right, everybody take a deep breath in. And we're breathing out.
Now, do I need to create a podcast checklist for you that includes you processing your feelings about these books?
Oh, God, I don't need another fucking checklist. We're going to say no. Maybe a Post-it note.
Okay, Post-it note we can do.
Processing my feelings with my therapist next week. It'll be great. All right, before we get into the question of what we are shipping this week, a few gentle reminders on how you can support the show. Head on over to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Substack. Subscribe, leave us a rating and review. It helps the algorithm gods know that you think we have cool things to say and you want to hang out with us. You want to come to my birthday party. You want to sit with me at the cafeteria to eat lunch. Always appreciate all of those. Follow us on social media. We are at First Dates and Soulmates on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. And if you've got a little bit of money you want to send our way, we have our merch store is on TeePublic. Link is in the show notes. Or you can subscribe to the show on Substack. Do it for 1 month. Do it for a whole year. Do it for however long you want. support the work we put into the show. It's much appreciated, and we love you very much. Meg, what you be shipping this week?
This week, I am shipping my ARC readers.
Ooh, lovely.
For the last 2 books, I worked with Booked with the Emilys, which is an ARC reader and social media influencer service. Like, they're a PR firm that specifically works with romance novelists to help recruit people who will do advanced reader copies. They will write reviews. They will put social media posts up. And I have loved working with Booked with the Emilys. One of the Emilys lives in my town, so that was how I met them because, small town. But we'll talk next week with Nora, who also lives in my town, who introduced me to Emily, who is Booked with the Emilys. So more small town happening. But I used Book with the Emilys, so I had 100 people on my email list that I was like, okay, you've already read either Peppermint Bark or All Twerk No Play. Would you like to be an ARC reader for this? I didn't go through the whole rigmarole because my timeline is just so tight this time, and I have 100 people who have already done this, and so I reached out to them, and within an hour, Nikki, 20% of people were like, yep, where's the ARC? Where can I sign up?
I love it.
And there's something so satisfying as a writer, as an author, that these people are like raving fans and like, yep, I'll put it on my calendar. When do you need me? What do you need me for? Where can I get it? Like, I need to know what happens next. But also, like, these readers are so perceptive. They notice the little things. They're willing to do this out of the goodness of their hearts, right? Like, I'm getting them an advanced copy of a book, but it's not, they're spending so much time to support indie authors. So I just wanted to give a shout out to my ARC readers. And if you're listening to this and you're not on my ARC reader list, shoot me an email, baileyseabornauthor@gmail.com, or head over to baileyseaborn.com, grab the epilogue, and you'll get onto my email list that way. And then just be like, I want to be an ARC reader for 2 Wrongs Don't Make a Playwright. If you want to be a part of that and write the review, because here's the thing, reviews make a big difference, especially on a tight turnaround like this. I'm releasing the book on a Friday. I'm doing a promotion the following Thursday to Saturday because I want to climb the Amazon charts, and I'll get more buys if I have early reviews, and I'm running some Amazon ads that will be dependent on those reviews. And so, like, the ARC readers are the beginning of the flywheel. They're the ones that will help me get out to more people and share the story with more people. So if you are an ARC reader and you're listening to this, thank you. I appreciate you so much. And if you want to be an ARC reader, just let me know, because I love having people on the team who care and who are willing to put in the work and get these stories out into the world.
Yay!
All right, Nikki, what are you shipping this week?
It is a book. It's called The Thorn and the Spire. Monsters Cravings Book 1 by Catherine McIntyre. So I've read Catherine McIntyre's like Leather and Lattes series. I've read the Brannon Brothers series. This is a new one. It's kind of like fairy tale retellings, but like dark and hot in a way. So The Thorn and the Spire is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. But it's supernatural. There are demons. There are supernatural creatures who are out in the world and live. So one of our main characters, his name is Bo. He's a nice guy. His dad is missing. And he finds out that his dad is at the Spires, which is this casino with this like bad reputation run by this demon named Killian. And he's like very, very scary. But in true Beauty and the Beast fashion, Bo goes to the Spires and is like, where's my dad? And they're like, well, how do you know we have your dad? He goes, I paid an imp to tell me where he was, and I got this information. And he goes, I want to take my dad's spot, doing whatever he did. Like he was gonna like work in the pits kind of a vibe. And Killian's like, are you sure you want to do that? Like, you don't want to know what your dad did. He goes, I don't believe you, but my dad is my only parent. I want him out of here. So of course he takes over his place, but Killian gets Bo to be his assistant. And of course he learns that below the demonic features and the bad reputation, Killian's kind of squishy, but also not. There's a lot of enemies that Killian has. Of course, I think there's a really interesting way that the curse, like the rose and true love thing from Beauty and the Beast, is represented here. I'm not going to spoil it because it's kind of cool how it rolls out. It's also super hot. There's like some kinky shit that goes on in the spires, because you got a beast, and there's some dark adjacent things that happen. But it's also just like a really good story. The character development is really fun. I do like it, much like with tropes, when authors take a known property and reimagine it, and you know what's coming, because we know Beauty and the Beast. There's even a library in this book, a big library reveal, which we
and
enjoy.
Nothing is sexier than a library.
Nothing is sexier than a library, I tell you. So one of the best scenes in the Mummy movie with Brendan Fraser is that big library, and then she knocks it all over. But before that, the library is great. So if you like slightly dark, super hot with some supernatural stuff going on, The Thorn and the Spire by Catherine McIntyre, and it looks like book 2 is a Little Mermaid retelling. So it's very fun, and that is what I am shipping this week. And that is all for us this week. Coming up next week, we are talking to Meg's friend Nora about small town holiday romance. And we'll catch you next time. Bye.
Bye.